Bro, it's so funny because at the end, I think it was her eye patch that
Yeah.
was there. And my immediate thought was like, really? They're gonna show her thong right now? That was my
Was there a thong?
No, there wasn't. It was her eye patch, but I thought
Oh!
it was a
Bro,
thong
why
because
the
of the
fuck would
way.
her thong be where her head is? Like,
Listen, we were shown the whole scene in the beginning of that episode, okay, of her just running around in underwear. So I just assumed that that was the thing. So
was her
I was
underwear
like,
even black? I thought it was like white. Why am I
I don't
remembering this?
remember,
Now
but
you're like making
either way,
question. Hi everyone and welcome back to Josei Junkies, an anime podcast where we talk about anything and everything. I'm Iso.
and I'm Kane. Welcome back to our, what number is this? 13, 14,
14?
15?
14, I think? I hope.
Oh my gosh, how
Oh
many
no.
weeks has it been?
Too many. We did it.
Oh my god.
We say this to
Losing track
everyone,
of
but
time.
like, okay, you gotta affirmate, you gotta make note of the little goals too, right? To show that like you're making progress and that you did something. Like what you do is not nothing. Okay.
That's nice.
That's nice. You're here too.
No, I find it so nice that you're like, oh, the little things that matters, you know? Sometimes we forget that.
This is your accomplishment as much as it is mine. Okay, but did you watch the latest episode of Chainsaw Man?
Chainsaw Man?
Yes.
What episode is that? Because I'm trying.
I don't remember number, but is the one with man, I want to say stuff goes down, but stuff keeps going down. So
wait, are we we're all spoiler like okay, right? This is a spoiler okay zone.
Yeah, this is now a spoiler okay zone.
Okay, so are we on the one with the power up one where it's like one power up after the next and then like the eye patch girl goes you know.
Yeah. I don't know about power ups, but like yes, the eye patch girl.
Oh my god. No, you don't think that was power up? All of a sudden we saw the true form of Ghost, the demon that she was contract with. And then all of a sudden we see another one and another one.
I don't think of it as like power up. I think of it as like she literally sacrificed more so she gets more.
I guess I was thinking of power up in terms of after she shows up and try to kill that one creature, then her freaking demon gets eaten by a giant snake. And I was like, what is going on, you guys?
Dude, it was just like, who are all these people and where do they come from? What is going on? I feel like I went to like, is this the same anime? What? Who?
And what about like Makima? Like Makima is like a main character, no? There's no way.
Dude, she's
like
not.
I feel like we barely met the eye patch girl, and now all of a sudden she's like gone, like actually dead.
No, you knew. Okay, you know how you know she was gonna die was that they pulled some Game of Thrones shit where they make you like the character and they give them like, oh yeah, they have something going. They're gonna be happy, right? They were about to be like, okay, you're gonna go for Makima and I'm gonna go for Aki and it's gonna be good. We're gonna get this teamwork. And then they kill the character off once you get to like them a little. They pulled a Game of Thrones straight up. This is why I have trust issues.
Oh my god. But it's so true. I started to be like, wow, this girl is messy. She is so messy. And
everyone is messy.
Just, I like
well, no
Aki.
pun intended actually for her. She is messy.
Oh my gosh, I would be traumatized. The puke scene with the kiss, I was like, no, that is traumatizing.
Okay, at least they censored it because I saw a side-by-side with the manga panel and they did not censor it.
I guess it could have been worse.
Yeah.
I don't even remember much about her except for like the barf scene, her being jealous every other like scene that she's shown in. And then that's basically it. Her sad about her like previous partners. I feel like we didn't get enough of her. I feel the longest that we got enough of her was like the end of, I forgot what episode it was, where she was like, oh, do you want to do it with Denji? And then all of a sudden the next scene is just the whole playback of that scene again. And I was like, why? From a different angle. It was wild.
It was like more detailed because I think like for the previous episode they just wanted to hook you, right? Like the cliffhanger, like oh shit, and then the next episode they're like, okay, now we're gonna go into detail, and it was like I don't know. What did you think of it? Like, did you feel like it was like fan servicey?
I don't know, but for most of those scenes, it still makes me uncomfortable because I'm like, ah, it's an intimate scene between the other two people. I shouldn't be watching this. I feel like it's illegal most of the time. So it was just me feeling uncomfortable and like trying to like skip forward.
I mean, I thought it was really interesting because it kind of made me uncomfortable too. Because like it was
Yeah.
just so much detail and like slow. It like
So slow.
it's not
It's
like
crazy.
not like a slow burn, but like a slow like not a torture. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like you couldn't stop watching, but you had to keep watching, and you were wondering when it was going to be over.
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like.
But then I thought it was also really interesting because it very much reminded me of like American television and like American film, which I guess
Mhm.
is a lot of what has been happening with Chainsaw Man. Where it just
The
kind of,
influence.
yeah, I think there's like a lot of influence there where it has like the small little details and taking things bit by bit and like a super focus on like sex and sexualization. Cause like I feel like you see that a lot in American television, such as the CW shows where like everyone sleeps together and there's always sex, and that's like why people watch it. Like literally everyone gets together with everyone at some point. It's ridiculous. It's just
Mhm.
it's not if, it's when.
Mm.
Or
Is it
even
like
sorry, go on.
new in anime to kind of like normalize those sex scenes so it's not so like taboo
I
in
don't
that case?
know if it's to normalize it as much as it is like it just opens the ground or like new grounds to like create new stuff, have a new angle. Cause like to be honest, I feel like anime has been so bland lately. Like it's a big reason why I haven't really been watching as much because there just is really nothing interesting compared to any other anime. Everything has been like the same regurgitated stuff, especially for shonen. It's like the same story, the same formula, and we don't change anything up.
Mm.
Like there's only so much of it you can watch before you're like, okay, now I'm bored. And I feel that Chainsaw Man is finally changing it up a bit, where it's like, oh, you never see this in anime normally, or there's not this much attention to
Mm.
detail. Your cat, I'm
Sorry,
so
that's my
angry.
cat. So mad because every time we're filming, a cat just screaming outside with his toy.
He just wants attention.
So sorry, everybody. So loud. Anyways, yeah, I do think Chainsaw Man has changed up the industry in the sense where it's like even normal people who aren't that really into anime will watch Chainsaw Man because it has like all of the element, I guess, like normal people would like want in like Western cultures, you know? Like my coworkers who only watch Game of Thrones or like, what is that one other one? Where it's like a fantasy version of Game of Thrones? The Wizard? The
The
wi-
wizard. The wizard.
Oh, I
Game of Thrones
forgot.
is fantasy.
I know, but I'm thinking of like another one.
Like
Darn it.
the
I'm gonna
prequel?
be so no, I'm gonna be so mad because I actually like that one a lot. I just can't remember it. It's a guy with white hair and like Yennefer, the witch,
The
the
Witcher.
the Witcher. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they only watch like those kind. That's like the level of fantasy
Dude,
they'll watch,
I'm
right?
so mad about that because
Why? Why are you mad?
they had was it Henry I can't remember Calvert? The one who plays
Yeah.
Superman. But he's
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
main
yeah.
one and he is such a fanboy. Like he loves the series. Like he plays the game. Like he's a super like nerd, to be honest, despite how he looks. Like if you hear his interviews and stuff, and he like loves The Witcher, and like that's a big reason why he took on the role.
Mhm. That's like a dream come true, right? To
Yeah,
love the series so much and
it really
be actually
was.
casted in it.
And I believe like his one stipulation was that like they made the show stay true to like the game slash novel, like the like the real what's the word, original basically.
Mhm.
But then for this next season, he's getting replaced with I think what's his name, Thor's younger brother. God, I cannot remember names right now, but him. I think he's
Oh
replacing.
my gosh.
And then there's a bunch of speculation that it's because they started changing it so much that he didn't want to do it anymore. But like they had to, put the PR front and be like, no, he's just leaving. And then people are like, oh yeah, he chose Superman over it. Of course they choose Superman over. it without people realizing like there's no way he would just drop this with how much love he has for it and passion just to do Superman because oh he'll be bigger. Like there's no way that could really actually be the reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe, but pretty sure not. And it's so
Yeah.
sad. It's like you just had to stay true to the original. Everyone loved him. Like he was such a perfect draw. Like it was so good. And then it
I
just will
think
not
so
be the same
too.
without him. Wait, did
Bro,
you
not
did
that
you
I'm gonna
watch?
screw up the whole series. I did watch the first. Was it the first season? How many seasons? I watched all the one that was out, basically.
I think there's only 2 out. So
Okay, yeah, then I did watch both season because I think I was waiting for third season. But yeah, I thought it was really good too. And for me, it's a little bit more palatable than Game of Thrones because it's just all the unnecessary killings, it just stresses me out after a while. And
but
like
they're
seeing so
not
much blood and
unnecessary.
gore. And I know it's unnecessary, but the detail to the gore is what is to me is unnecessary. Like I don't need to see someone's eyeballs or like their brain getting chopped up and like
Did you
the it's
mean
it's the little details. And I'm talking about the Game of Thrones, not The Witcher. They think The Witcher does it very well, where it's like I'm not grossed out
when you
every
say
other
that?
scene.
I was like, it's literally just like HBO's formula is like blood and gore, sex, and action.
Yeah. And that's fine, but there's only so much my heart can take, especially if it's like too like the level of injustice is too high. I can't take it. My heart hurts and then I'm just like wheezing and it's
You're
just too
so
much. I can't do it.
soft. You're
I
so
am.
soft.
I can't. I feel too much for the main characters or any of the characters.
I
So
told
that's why
you.
even watching Denji in that moment when he was throwing up, I was like, oh no, reliving those drunken days and the throwing up violently.
Dude.
It was making me have flashbacks.
Okay, well
I
that's
felt
okay.
sick.
The disclaimer is that she really did just have a violent throwing up in real life too,
Oh my
because she got
gosh, it
was it
was
food
so
poisoning?
bad. I got food poisoning. And then it definitely gave me flashback. And then it was right after I watched that episode too, and it just made it worse because I remember
Okay, at least you aren't eating puke like someone else's puke.
that's so sick. That's so sick. I can't stop thinking about it. And then the detail. I'm glad because I feel like it's very relatable, but for people who have like overly like I think I have sensory overload a lot of times, it's too much for me. Just a little bit of that is enough for my imagination. Thank you so much.
I mean, I think I get like overwhelmed easily, but they go through it fast enough that I'm just like, oh my god, and then it's done. Except for like,
Yeah,
at least for the puke scene. The other
I
scenes, I
know.
was like, okay, this is kind of long.
But what I was saying is just like Game of people who only like Game of Thrones and like, Witcher, they actually like Chainsaw Man and
Mm-hmm.
like they've not seen any anime. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"What? And you randomly just watch Chainsaw Man?" They're like, "Yeah, the animation looked cool and the guy with the chainsaw looked cool." So then they're just like, "I just tried it out." I was like, "That's crazy." That like we talked about how there's like certain people who introduce you into anime and give you like, recs and stuff, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how people start. But like weird to hear Chainsaw Man getting people just straight into it.
I mean, I think that's what people are looking for a lot now, though. It's like there's such an oversaturation, and maybe not even just the anime market, just like television, video market in general. Because we have so much more. It used to be there was like one channel on television, right? And then we got all these channels, and that was already so much. People were like, look at how much you can watch. And then they had like
Mhm.
pay per view, like, on demand. And then we got streaming and we got YouTube where people are making their own content. Like, and people are now making like movie quality content or even their own movies at like home essentially. And it's theater quality on top of the actual like Hollywood industry. And then we have the international market too that everyone's into. Like, see how Squid Game got so big, or just like with globalization, right? So we have like all this going on, and there's just so much to choose from, right? And then now it isn't even just Netflix. You have like all these streaming services. Where do you look? What do you watch? And there's just so much choice. But then a lot of it gets regurgitated. People do the same stuff. So we're really just looking for like, what do we use our time for? We have a limited amount of time. We want to watch something that's actually worth our time.
Something like unique
Yeah.
and different.
Yeah. It's like
I do feel like Chainsaw is definitely unique for the
yes.
industry.
I mean, there's so much like I talk about it a lot, but like I really like how they're taking like the film perspective and putting it on anime, because no one's really, I don't mean no one, but it isn't done very often, especially not to this extent. Like I remember Koi no Katachi I really liked, because
Mhm.
in it they like I think it was like the younger sister, right? She did photography, and you can see throughout a lot of it. It's like if you look at the edges of the screen, it's like you're looking through a camera where the lenses are kind of like the edges are kind of distorted.
Mhm.
And I thought that was so cool, like the attention to detail there and how it relates, or how the audio relates in that, where like it wasn't one volume of audio throughout it. It was kind of like varied to kind of represent how she hears, because she's deaf, right? So she hears very lows, very highs. Not everything is so clear. She can only make out some stuff. And you can hear that like in the music too. And it's just really, really cool. So like I guess there's aspects of like film there. But Chainsaw Man, it's like the whole series is just like anime, like a film but in anime form. And I feel like I have never seen that before done.
Yeah, it's done really well. Even the scene where she's like on top of him, it was very cinematic. And
Yeah.
even the I'm so uncomfortable, like the scene, the background, the mood, everything was so nice that I couldn't look away because I was just like, wow, it's just done so nice. It's like POV style a
Yeah.
lot of times.
You know, now that I think about it, it kind of makes me think of like the reason why it was kind of hard to watch was like how much silence there was in that scene, and
Mm,
how uncomfortable people are with silence. Like they feel the need to, I mean, I personally can say I feel the need to like talk when it's silent. It's hard to just like
um,
sit there and watch them be silent. It makes you feel awkward, and I feel like they kind of presented that where it's like, yeah, it's supposed to be awkward, like, but that's
oh
real
my God,
life.
not them trying to make us feel uncomfortable on purpose. I mean, they definitely did their job.
Yeah.
That's
So
cute.
really interesting there. And then I don't even know where it's like, I'm just really depressed over her going, like the way she left too, where she just like her body parts literally just like disappeared bit by bit.
Yeah, no, that's done so well because you know how like a lot of death scene in anime,
Mhm.
they're always just like, and then they'll say their final words or whatever, and it's like
Yeah.
dragged on for like 5 episodes or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But hers is just like dramatic, and you're like, is this happening? Is this happening? And then there was almost a bit of like hope too that you would have that even if she's missing these limbs, maybe she could
Yeah.
still survive. And that was the worst part because you're like,
Oh
oh,
my
okay, well,
god.
maybe it'll develop in a way where she can still survive this whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
And like even if she's like completely handicapped, like it's okay. But no, they just ripped our heart out and like with the little shred of hope that we were given.
Because it was like
It was
they had
so
seen
sad.
where it's like she lost one arm, and then it like pans to other stuff happening to her, to like Aki, and then it goes back, and then she loses another arm. And you think they're
Mhm.
winning, right? You're like, okay, maybe she just will be armless. She'll still have her legs and her body. And then she loses her, like, I forget if they showed just when she loses her leg or they complete it all. But then, and it's like the look at Aki, and I was just like, it hurts. I don't even know. I'm so bad at putting my feels in words, but like, it hurt. Like they get you're so right about like they give you the little bit of hope, and then they tease it, and then they take it all away.
Bro, it's so funny because at the end, I think it was her eye patch that
Yeah.
was there. And my immediate thought was like, really? They're gonna show her thong right now? That was my
Was there a thong?
No, there wasn't. It was her eye patch, but I thought it
Oh,
was a thong
bro, why
because
the
of the
fuck would
way
her thong be where her head is? Like,
Listen, we were shown the whole scene in the beginning of that episode, okay, of her just running around in underwear. So I just assumed that that was the thing. So
was her
I was
underwear
like,
even black? I thought it was like white. What's why am I
I don't
remembering this?
remember,
Now
but
you're like making
either
me
way,
question.
my first thought when I was just like, "Oh my god, there's just her pile of clothes." I was like, "Why? Why did they have to do that to her towards the end?" But I was like, "Okay, thank God it
Thong,
was
the
an eye
thong,
patch."
the thong song.
Oh my god. I
Okay,
don't know. I feel like we know nothing about their relationship either, and I'm gonna be so mad if we learn more about her, and then she's like not even,
I
you
mean, they
know.
gave her back. Okay, there's one thing that was kind of cathartic about it, was like how she always had her partners die, and she was like, "You can't tell, like you can't die before me." And then now that she's
Mhm.
died, it's kind of like cathartic that like she doesn't have to watch any of her partners die anymore because she's
Mhm.
now dead. And I was like, I don't even know. It just really sat with me where I'm like, maybe she's happy. Like she sacrificed for the person she loved, and even though she's not there anymore, like she doesn't have to watch anyone else die.
Mhm.
Such horrid deaths too. Like, especially
Yeah,
because
she's like, "He's so young," you know?
yeah, okay, that was another thing that I totally didn't think about until like the first time Sword Demon died. I don't know what it's considered, but like Aki used his sword, and his sword takes away his life, like if he uses it.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just like, oh, he's using a sword. And remember how much hesitation there was like the episode before when he had to use it? It's like,
Yeah,
no, I don't
yeah.
want you to lose your life. And then at this moment, he just like had to go all in, you know? Like there wasn't even hesitation anymore. He didn't have a choice.
Damn.
Like,
That part I was confused because, like, we didn't get much information about it. So I felt like the risk of him taking out his sword was like, I don't know. I didn't register it because I guess he just carries it around. I
no,
feel
that's what
like
I was like.
they emphasized it kind of the previous, but I was like, but how? Like, how does it work? Is it like how many percentage of his life, you know, like how much does he lose with each sword? Is it like each number is like 10 years or what? I didn't understand the scaling for that one.
I mean, they didn't tell us from a scale, but like any amount of your life that's taken off, you know? And if they're trying to
Mm-hmm.
say, don't do it, it must be a sizable amount. It's not like a month or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably like a year. I feel like it's more than a year, but like at least a year.
Yeah,
But like
that was crazy.
the way they presented that, I thought it was so interesting because like you didn't even think about that being a consequence when you're watching it until like you realize
Mm-hmm.
after you're like, wait a minute, what is this sword? Oh shit! Compared to like the previous episode where how the sword was like talked about, and I think it really just goes to show the kind of society that they live in too. You know, where it's like it really is like you live or
Do
you
or die.
die. Yeah, do or die.
Yeah. It could also be the fact that she was always there to stop him because he doesn't hesitate using the sword because he like just readily throws away his life. But it's because that one time she was kind of knocked unconscious, right? When she was shot. So that was why he used the sword and there was no one to stop him.
Yeah, but she wasn't dead either. But even then, like I don't know how trigger happy he is with that sword either, you know? Like it still seemed
Mm,
like the episode before he still was hesitating, like they were in this dire situation and he never decided to pull it out until like, you know, that one point where it's like this is all we have, otherwise we're gonna have to give up Denji.
hmm
So I'm not sure.
That part was crazy too. The hotel scene, I was like, the whole time I was like, how are they going to get out of it? And it low key kind of reminded me like the other two members, the girl and the guy, the other member who was trying to sacrifice him
Oh,
immediately. It gave me like, yeah,
the ones where you're like, can y'all just stop?
can you just chill out for a second? But like for me, I felt like it was immediately gave me those feels of it's not battle royale, but which shows is it? Well, you know what I mean? It's like that theme in anime or like Japanese media where it's just like the twisted versions of humanity comes out when it's under like desperation,
Mm. Well,
and
I
like
mean,
that their tone switched immediately from like being friendly. It's just like, can you just die for us?
it's just human nature and survival, right? You know, you got to do what you got to do to survive.
That's crazy.
It just makes
And
you
I
think of
feel
like
like
every zombie movie.
every any horror movie,
Yeah.
right? Where someone's like, it's do or die.
Yeah.
It really is. And I was surprised that Aki even stood up for Denji because I thought he really hated him.
I think that just kind of goes on to be a part of the development of their relationship, right? Like we don't really know where it is yet, but I think like you mentioned it where like he's like Denji's the one who's gonna get me the gun demon, and that's basically his only goal in life. And
Hmm
he's like, he can do it, he sees it, he's like, I need this guy. So I don't know if it's even necessarily friendship at this point, but it's more so just like I need him as like a thing to use to obtain my one goal in life that I'm
hmm
literally willing to sacrifice anything, even my own life for.
That's crazy. And that whole scene of like him playing with his brother too. I was like, oh, this is cute. You know, like they're finally getting along. And all of a sudden
Bro,
I'm like,
this thing is giving me trust issues. Like, I trust any happy scene is never gonna end happy. There is no happy.
oh my God. It was so intense. And I was like, are you serious right now? They're literally in the middle of nowhere. Like you could have pointed that anywhere, but you literally had to point it
Literally,
that
their house
direction.
is like the only house there. Like, it's just
There
snow.
was
Can't see anything
nothing.
else. Like, the trajectory of that shot, like, bruh, come on.
We literally didn't have to. He didn't have to have that trauma. He could have lived his whole life without that. Thank you.
Just blame the people who made the house. Like, you could have made this house like 6 feet in the other direction. Nope.
Blame. Oh, so dumb.
Did you see the thing about Blue Lock?
Oh, I haven't seen Blue Lock because you told me it wasn't like fun time, high Q friendship. So my immediate was just like, oh, I'm not gonna watch it then.
I sent you the meme, right? Where it was like
Yeah.
every sports fan was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna win friendship." Then Blue Lock is like, "What was it?" It's like, "I'm gonna
No,
fucking
fuck
win." You
you.
know, fuck you,
Yeah,
I will.
fuck you. I'll score.
Yeah.
But
I'm
it's
like,
crazy. My friend was watching it and he was saying like, "Oh yeah, like it's crazy because the whole theme was like Japan versus Germany, and then they actually won like in the World Cup right now, right?
yeah, that's
Against
why I was
Germany."
like, I forget who the top one in the anime is, or like what countries they were, but it's the fact that like Japan is winning when I think they don't normally win and they keep winning. And I think even their jerseys are like a collab between Blue Lock and
Yeah. So it's like
FIFA.
anime in real life, for real. Like
Yeah.
they're literally manifesting it into real life. They're
Yeah.
like, "No, this is what's gonna happen, and this is exactly how it's gonna play out."
It's the man with the bowl cut got it right. Like he is the true mastermind. Wait, if they come out with a coach or some dude with a bowl cut, I'm a laugh my ass off. I kid you not. Like those glasses and a bowl cut. Mark my words. With the way they're winning, it's gonna happen.
Oh my god, it's just some random dude who has like connection to some witch in Japan that does like, prediction of the future. And then he's like, "I'm gonna write a whole manga about it. A whole series about it."
I got this. We gotta do what the Japanese don't normally do. No camaraderie, just about us.
That's so weird, but somehow it works.
Yeah, it's been so funny because so many people have like messaged me about it, and I'm also like, I actually still don't really like the anime that much, to be quite honest. Like, I don't think I'd really like the manga either. It's just like not my cup of tea.
Mm,
I'm
I
like
see.
watching it to watch it, but I don't really feel like invested in it.
Mhm.
But I guess we'll see. Maybe it'll get better, or maybe it just is too much
It just won't.
testosterone.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I get those for some of the sports anime too.
I
I'm
don't.
just glad because I heard Japan never is like soccer's not their one of their top sports.
Is it? I don't really know. I feel like they do, or at least they like baseball a lot.
Mhm.
I don't really know though. I don't really follow much Japanese sports. But this was all over the news, so it was just really funny. Yeah. I mean,
What a coincidence.
you've been really busy, so you haven't really been watching a lot of anime.
It's honestly just Spy Family and Chainsaw Man. That's like my priority.
I mean, that's fair. Those are like probably two of the better ones this season.
Yeah.
There is one I started watching that's actually I feel like it's super underrated, but really good, called Bocchi the Rock. Bocchi the Rock?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's like about this girl who's like an introvert, but she like learns to play guitar really well, and like her journey joining a band and just like how she is and like friendship and all that. But I feel like it's very detailed and reflective of like how like it is to be an introvert with like social anxiety, and then like also about like band life and like how it is to like practice and make music. Like this most recent episode, I was really happy with how they presented them performing. They performed like two songs, right, live.
Mhm.
And their first song, you know, normally like if you see like them performing a song in the anime, they just like have a pre-recorded track and they like play it, right?
Yeah.
But this one, I feel like they spent special attention to like the song where they made it purposely bad. I mean, it wasn't terrible, right? But it was bad enough where it's like, oh, things are off tempo or certain things are off, and that's like very accurate to how it is when you like have an actual band practice. Where,
Oh, I see.
you know, especially when you're doing it live and people are nervous, so someone might be playing too fast and other people are trying to catch up and things aren't exactly, you know, sounding the greatest. And they did that for the first song. And then their second song, you could tell like their confidence had come up, like a real show where like, no, you're more comfortable and you're doing a lot better. And I was like, wow, like it's something you can't explain in
Ew, the
words, but when
attention
you
to
hear it,
detail.
yeah, but when you hear it, you're like, that's so accurate. Like and it makes you feel like you're really in the moment too. Like you're actually like at a live show.
That's so cute. I like that. So it's like K-On.
I don't know because when I watched K-On, I never finished it because I just didn't vibe with it. And when I asked my
Mhm.
friend about it who had watched it, they told me it's like nothing like K-On, just that they're girls in a band.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll watch it. It sounds cute and wholesome and like
Yeah.
they're taking a little twist to it.
Yeah. I just really
I
like,
like that.
I really relate to like the introvert, like social anxiety. I was like, there's so much accuracy in it, and to feel like, wow, someone put into like anime what I could never like say in words how I feel. And it's like, oh, I'm not alone. People feel like this. And it's just nerve wracking. And that people will still talk to you, and it's not as bad as you think. And it's just really heartwarming to see it.
That's cute. I feel like that's good. It's always good to have series that you can relate to or characters that, make you feel like this is normal.
Mm.
It's just like any experience that you have, except you don't have to go out of your way to meet new people to have those experiences. You could just watch it in anime too.
That sounds so sad. Okay, we should,
Why?
because it's like,
We talked about how you don't like to leave your house, okay?
yeah, but that's like, okay, I've been thinking about a lot of like why I don't like to leave my house lately, especially with how much I have been staying in. Like I never
Mhm.
really left my house a lot in the first place, but like after COVID, or even it's still COVID, it definitely got worse because there's like so many
Mhm.
more. It's like the dangers of going outside. And I know it sounds ridiculous. It's like, oh, there's always dangers, but it's just like the experience, and like the older I get, the more I'm aware of it, and that makes me more scared, like ranging from just like random things that could happen to actual like a lot of it I feel like is people I'm scared of.
Mm. I mean, that makes sense. There's a lot of crazy people nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, I almost feel like they've always been around, but like they feel more entitled to be crazy, so it's scarier. Like, man, I've been saying like so much, but the few times I do go outside, or like sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll just walk to like the mailbox. One time I went to walk to the mailbox to like drop off some mail, and some dude literally walked out the gate, and I wasn't sure if he was like living there or homeless or what. Like he didn't look the cleanest, but he had like a shopping cart, but he came out of a house, so I was like, maybe he's just from that house, and I didn't want to assume the worst, right? But where I live is kind of like really empty. There aren't a lot of people out and about, and it's like a lot of land. So it's like you don't see a lot of people walking about or anything. So it's just him and me at this point. And I'm just like, oh, I just need to send out my mail, so I'm going to do what I have to do. So I just walk and I walk and I walk past him. And then he calls out and he's like, do you just walk past people without saying hi to them? Like he was offended. And we weren't like
What
walking towards
the?
each other. We were walking in like the same direction. So it's not like I was facing him either.
Mhm.
And I
What a
had,
weirdo.
yeah, and I had to do like, it was like an older dude too. So I had to do the whole funny, like, ha ha ha. Oh, I was just trying to do my errands, got a lot on my mind. Ha ha ha. The awkward, like, please don't kill me laugh because
Mhm.
I don't
Oh
know
my
what you're going
god,
to
don't
do.
we know that one so well?
But it's so
The whole fake
true.
polite because you're like, "Please don't hurt me." I just want to just placate them. It's so hard
Yeah. And it's
and
like
annoying.
the worst. And then I do that, send out my mail, but then I have to turn around and go back to my house, right? So I have to pass him
Mhm.
again.
Mhm.
And when I pass by him, he like calls out behind me. He's like, I like your slippers. And I'm just like, you know, I feel like if I told this to a guy, they might just be like, oh, but he just liked your slippers. He was just complimenting you. But to me, it's like, but why is he saying that? Like, for what reason?
Yeah. Sometimes it's just unsolicited, like, sometimes you don't wanna be bothered? And it
Yeah.
usually doesn't come with just, like, normal compliment and it goes that way? It's like, I feel like if another girl approaches me and be like, "I like your slipper," like, "Thanks, you too," and, like, just
Yeah.
walk away. Not oftentimes, like, there's obviously, like, a scale, right? There's not often time that we're bothered and have to respond politely to women, otherwise they'll murder or harass us or get angry or violent.
Yeah.
Whereas I find that very, very true with men. Like almost, I would say like 70% to 30. If I don't respond correctly, they're always gonna like have an outburst. So it's scarier.
Yeah. Cause like you really don't know how they're going to react. It's like maybe they're
Hmm.
fine, but like what if they're not? And you're literally
Yeah.
risking your
You don't
life at
want to
that point.
generalize either, but it's still safer. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah. And it's like, I hate it when guys try to make it seem like, but it's not all men. And it's like, well, enough of you do it that we have to be cautious regardless because it's literally our life on the line. Like,
I remember I saw
what's more
this
important,
one.
your ego or my life?
I know. What is it? They say the worst thing that could come out of an interaction like that is the man will get insulted or hurt. The
Yeah,
worst is the woman will be killed or
yeah,
murdered or
exactly.
raped, all of the above. It's just scary. And I feel like, what is it? I saw this one TikTok where it's just like, oh, without men, who will protect you women? I saw it on TikTok and it's just like, from what? Protect us from what?
I hate that that's
And it
true.
really makes you like, did you even think about your question before you asked it? Protect us from what? The lions?
Oh my god. I
That's
shouldn't
funny.
it's like we're laughing but also crying because it's true. Like, this is just
It's the
coping.
reality.
It's the
Yeah,
comedy cope.
honestly. It is. And they're just like, like, would we fear guns so violently if it wasn't for all the men who are the shooters? I don't know. I'm not sure about it.
It's like the argument of like, it's guns don't kill people, people kill people. And it's like, yeah,
Oh my God. Here
okay,
we
I stand
go.
by my point. Still, you agree that there are crazy men, crazy people.
So is he like a neighbor of yours or you just never saw him? He's
I don't
just
know who he is. It's like, I don't even really know my neighbors. Because one, I don't go out much, but two, like, I told you, like, the houses here are kind of like, the land is large. So it's like, you really don't see people that often. Because most people don't even walk around that much. It's like pretty far. So I
what's
don't know.
creepy is that he's older and honestly, I'm sorry, but you look like a kid in real life. So that's creepier. Another level of creepy. Like most of the time I know you're older, but you do look very young. Like under 18, I would say. And that's the creepy part.
No,
That he's an older man, but he would
not
look at you
you
and be
too.
no, I'm sorry. It's just a thing. It just makes me way more sus about everyone who approaches you because you look so young. It's
Dude,
just so like weird to me.
like literally 3 times like in the past month I've been thought of. Like, and this has never happened to me before either. This is why it's so weird. I was told like where okay, what was the first one? I think I went to the pharmacy and I had to
uh,
like change. I wanted to use a coupon for like the prescription I was picking up, and that I guess like a change to your prescription, so you need like someone 18 plus to do it, and I was there alone. And it's okay. The worst part about this is the first thing the pharmacist always asks you is your date of birth. So I go in there and they should know my birthday. They have my file up. They asked my birthday. And when I asked, like, oh, can I use this coupon? Then they were like, how old are you? Like, they gave me the worst part is the weird look they give you. Cause like, I don't really think of it until they say it. And I'm like, oh, that's why they were giving me the look. And I was
mhm.
like, obviously I'm over 18. So that was like the first one. The second one is like an older lady, I think, went to ask me because I had to go, I was buying a used car and it was like an older lady selling it.
Mhm.
And then she went to ask me how old I was and she thought I was like 18. And I was like, oh my God.
Right?
And then the third one, this was by far the worst one. It was at Costco. Oh my God.
No, you
This
got
was,
denied at
dude,
Costco.
it was so awkward because everyone was, so I went to go try out some liquid IV samples, because Costco has the
Uh-huh.
sample tables and everyone was flocking. So there was like multiple people around, including me. And I went and I just took it and I was drinking it. And then the sample lady kept like mad dogging me. And she kept looking at me. And all these people are also still standing there taking their samples, right? And then she says like really loudly, like, how old are you? Like in that tone. And I'm just like looking, I'm
What a
like,
rude
me?
ass.
I'm like, me? And I like said my age, and she was like, oh my God. And I was just like, and everyone is standing there and like looking at me. I'm like, this is the most awkward thing. Like, people out here getting carded for alcohol. Meanwhile, I'm getting like denied samples at Costco.
That's what I mean. It's so freaking weird. People are weird.
I'm like never gonna forget this. This is so scarring.
You'll be honestly young forever though. On the bright side, everyone will look like 50, and you'll still look like 25. It'll be fun. Well, it's a fun time.
I mean, I'm all about looking young, but like, man, And it's so embarrassing when shit like this happens. Can I be
It could be
young?
a good and a bad.
Young, but like over the age of things where people have to question me. Oh wait, no, it happened another
I
time.
see.
Another time this month too. I went to buy a lotto ticket.
Great.
And I've gone to this place to buy lotto tickets before. I don't usually buy lotto tickets, but there's been like, what is it, the $1 billion ones, and I was like, why not? $2 for a try, right? And I'd been there before to buy them when it was like over a billion, and they never asked me my age or anything. And this time I went in, and they like asked for my ID, and I was like, oh, okay. And they like scanned it, and like I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't really know why, so I asked. I was like, oh, why did you have to scan my ID? And they're like, oh, you have to be like 18 plus to buy a lotto ticket. And I was like, okay.
That's so sad. But that's why I feel like anytime if you get anyone who's like after you, I'm like suspicious immediately. I'm like sus, because people are weird.
Yeah, that's true. People are really weird. But this is like why I'm afraid to go out. Like, this shit happens. And this is like in these situations are not even like the dangerous situations, right? These are like in public, people, like normal situations. So it's like
Gosh.
now I get scared of like going to like other situations that are not quote unquote safe situations, I guess.
I feel like it's good. You've been like very careful, so then like on guard too. So I feel like these things aren't as likely to happen because you're like, vigilant. So
But
that's good.
I feel like it's like I'm vigilant, but at the same time I do feel like I lose a lot of experience because of it. Like I wish I could just go out and do things and not worry about it and just,
Mm,
see the thing about like taking risks, right? Is like it turns into a story if anything, even if it goes bad. But I
yeah,
always
yeah,
go to like the worst case scenario of like, what if I end up dead?
yeah. That's an anxiety thing, girl.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay, but it's like, man, I feel like so much of it is being scared of like other people again because like I'm so down to do other things. Like I went, what was it? I've done skydiving before and I was so down to do that.
Hmm.
And like, if that's not risking your life, what is? Literally falling out of a plane. Okay, it was tandem, but still, you're falling out of a plane.
Yeah.
Versus, like, I was less scared of that than I would be of going to like a bar.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, because at a bar, all I can think of is like, man, dudes here are just trying to like hook up. People are like putting drugs in drinks. There's so much shady
Mm.
shit going on where you always have to be on guard. You can't just like have a conversation without thinking of like, what are people thinking or what are they doing around me? And then people like touching
Wait, have you
people.
been to bars or clubs?
Yeah, I have.
Mm.
Like I like maybe not so much bars. Bars are like okay, but I feel like it's just very loud. Whereas clubs, it's loud, but like at least I can dance. But I like going to clubs with
Yeah,
like
yeah.
other girls. I don't like going to like I don't know. A lot of people say you go to clubs to hook up. I'm like, no, I want to go there to go with girls just to dance. Loud music and dancing.
I know.
Is that too much
Sometimes
to
we
ask for?
just want to have fun.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things where it is implied and it's always an issue. But I feel like after you go, you're just like, for the most part, it's safe. And then as long as you have people you trust with you,
Mm,
and then those people are responsible and you're with people who are responsible, I don't think it's ever an issue. Because I've been through a lot and it's just always not that big of an issue. It's just as long as you know your limits and obviously you don't drink. So
yeah. Well, it's also I think it's like being scared of people drugging your drink because they can literally put that in
mm,
anything and you don't know. Like that's what I've seen a lot of lately, and that freaks me out.
yeah.
Like
But
if
at least you don't drink, right? So you wouldn't even have a drink for them
I drink like
to drug.
normal drinks, like non-alcoholic.
Bring like one of those like hidden water bottles or something
I would just
where you
bring
like
water
have it
bottles.
connected. Yeah, connected to a
I'm
jacket
gonna
or
have like a
something.
lanyard with a water bottle like hanging from my
Yeah.
chest.
So then you're safe. Then you're like, who's gonna get me? Like the security don't even know I'm holding a
Just like
water
not
bottle.
today, Satan. This is my liquid IV.
Oh my god. I feel like I've been through so many situations where I'm like, oh, I could have died, but overall, it wasn't that bad.
See, that's what I'm
I
saying.
feel
Like
like
it turns into a good story then.
yeah.
It's like I
I was
wish
like,
I could be
oh,
like that.
I feel like what it is for me is like learn vigilance, and yours is just like, you just know. it by
Yeah.
heart. Like this is how I should be.
Yeah. It's like I feel like I've heard so much from people I know and just like what I've read from other people too that I just avoid it. But like I
Hmm.
said before, like I also feel like I'm losing out on life, I guess you could say, by doing that. And so it's like a balance
Yeah,
I want to learn to be better at, but
yeah. It's so good to know,
yeah.
like, oh, these are all the risks, but that's not everything,
Mm.
Because I feel like your immediate thing's just like, this is all of the terrible things that could
Yeah,
happen,
yeah.
right?
That's
That was
very
your
correct.
immediate, like, super pessimistic, and then so just learning a little bit balance from that, like learning the risk, but also like it's okay to, it's not bad all the time. Like that one time, right? When you're like, oh no, I could have caught COVID, but in the end you did it. It's chill.
That's
And
true.
you had a good time.
Yeah. I mean, have you had any of these like experiences?
Oh, all the time, dude. Like sexual harassment or people following you home. You know
You're
what's
like,
weird
choose from
though?
the list.
No, you know what's weird though? What's so creepy to me is something I didn't notice until like I was later in my 20s that I realized you don't get harassed or hit on or picked up or any of that stuff when you look older or when you look like you're very like sure of yourself and confident. I feel like they only go after like young looking, very like innocent and like kind of like I would say kind of idealistic.
Mm,
'Cause then now I can notice it. I can see someone, I'm like, "Oh, she's very young." I could see someone, I'm like, "Oh, I can tell that they're very young." Like, they're still in
mm.
college, they're still in high school, whatever the case is. Because they're either I don't know what it is about the look, it just seems like they're not weathered out. They're not weathered by life.
Is it like the
I don't know what
look,
it
or
is.
I feel like it's like almost the stance because
Yeah, it's like a stance of, like, how they portray themselves.
yeah,
Essentially, like, if I go up to them, they'll be like, "Oh, no, I'm sorry," like, very, like, hesitant, very, like, insecure almost.
yeah,
But, like, someone who is, like, very sure of themselves, like, they got this certain, like, look about them that I'm like, oh, I go up to them. I'll be like, "Hey, what's up?" They're like, "What's up?" It's
oh
just
shit,
I don't know, it's just a mode, but I realized the times that I got hit on the most were definitely, like, in my early 20s when I'm, like, out, I'm legal, I'm, like, able to party and stuff like that, but also I'm still very impressionable
oh
and
yeah.
very insecure and very, like, you know, oblivious to the world, and
Mm.
for some reason, those are easier praise, I feel like.
I mean, because you're oblivious, they think they can like train you and like teach you about the world,
Mhm.
and in a
It's
way,
like
they
that
do.
map where, like, if they ask women of any age, like, what age of men they prefer, it's always, like, 5 within their age, like,
Oh, wasn't there
usually
that
2.
equation? There was that equation you need to do
Yeah.
what's okay between older and younger from your age.
Oh, no, it was just basically, like, if the woman is, like, 40, she prefers men, like, 43, or, like,
Oh.
39. But with men of all ages, they prefer women from 20 to, like, 25,
Mm.
no matter the age. And
Yeah,
I find that really creepy.
it's like really frustrating too because when you're younger, you don't see it. Like speaking
Mhm.
from a personal
That's the worst
experience.
part.
Yeah, and if anyone tries to tell you otherwise, you just don't take that to heart really cuz like you
Mhm.
think you know right. And I mean in a way you do. It's not that you don't know what's right, it's that you don't see what their real intentions are.
Yeah.
It's you see
And
them as being like older, more mature and not as older and creepy because why are they hitting on someone so young? Like just think of that. Why someone so young?
yeah,
Why not
and
their
it's
own
like what we
age?
talked about in the previous cons or convention, like,
Mm,
talks. It's about like, you just assume everyone's there for the same hobby or just for friends and stuff.
mm. And it's not
But maybe
true.
that's not everyone's intention. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that goes back to us like, this is why I have so much anxiety. And like, I don't trust these people. Like, just want to be friends. Like, is that so much to ask for?
Yeah. Platonic relationship in our society, and I think most of the world, is not very heavily like emphasized. It's always romantic or sexual
I
relationships.
like wonder why that is though. Like, especially for guys, I feel like. Because like girls, friendships all the time, right? Or they'll be like, yeah, I can be
Mm-hmm.
friends with guys. But for guys, it's like always looking for more than friends, I feel like.
Yeah. I feel like men also want intimacy in the sense of like just a hug or deep talks or emotional intimacy too. But I think in society we've raised the men to just like not hold back on all their emotions. So even with their like close friends or anyone, they don't really open up. And the
Mm,
ones that they do open up, then those are like kind of like the really intense and like the relationship they yearn for, right? And usually it's
mm,
the like romantic relationships where their girlfriends make them open up, or
mm,
they form a very deep bond and trust with them that they feel comfortable.
mm.
But then because of that, that's the kind of like the only relationship they feel comfortable with. Whereas I feel like with women, we have each other, and if anything, we hold on to our girlfriends. It's like I tell my girlfriends all the time, I'm like, I does he even know what color your eyes are? Because I know what type of fabric you like for your underwear. It's
She's
like the
asserting
little
her
things.
dominance. He doesn't know you like I know you.
It's like that though, because there's a thing on TikTok where it's just like, do the boyfriends even know their girlfriend's eye color? Because that's they don't even look at them that closely or the details. And then it made me question. It was like, is that a real thing? Because I feel like my girlfriends, I know everything about them,
No,
and they know
it's
everything about
true.
me.
Because it's like, just think about how many times people have been like, can they tell if you're wearing makeup or not?
Yeah. Oh my god, that's a easy one too.
It's always, especially the natural makeup, like, oh, I like how you look naturally, and it's like, sorry to break it to you, man. That's just natural makeup.
It
And
just makes me so curious. Like, what are they looking at? What do they just like not focus on anything? Just kind of spaced out all the time?
I don't think it's spaced out, but I don't know. I think their focus is somewhere else. I don't know on exactly what, but something else. Reminded me of like, on the topic of like, oh, they still want like emotional connection. I think I remember reading somewhere I was like, I think an interview with someone who's like a sex worker or something, but they were
Mhm.
like, it turns out that a lot, or maybe it was like a sugar baby, like they signed up on a sugar baby site, and she's like, a lot
Mhm.
of the dudes, like they go in and they'll be like, I don't want to have sex or anything, can you just like hold me?
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, and that like really hit me because I'm like, these guys are like people making a lot of money. They have like all this stuff in their life, right? Everything's going for them, except they just don't have like intimacy, and like they don't even want like
Mhm.
sex. They just want, human touch,
Yeah.
like someone to be there, like companionship.
That's so crazy to think too. And that's something I've learned like later on in life. Because I feel like my whole life I'm like, oh my gosh, I want a nice house. I want tons of money and stuff like that.
I want lots
But
of
a lot of times I
cats.
look, yeah. But I feel like now I'm just like I'm grateful every day, and I wake up grateful every day for like the connections that I have, the friendship I have, and like just the little things in life, because I feel like before it was just like, oh, I wish I had all these things. And actually meeting people who are extremely wealthy and like have grown up wealthy, and them just not having close connections or friendship because they can't really trust the people around them,
Mm,
because they're constantly like, worried if they're trying to use them or trying to
mm,
like benefit off them, or there's just so many trust
mm,
issues that come with it, having wealth and whatever.
mm,
So it made me realize it's like that's not everything. We got to look at like there's other like it's not just financial gains and like,
mm.
material gains that's worthwhile. It's also connection is really hard for some people.
I was actually just reading a Reddit thread on that. It was like an ask me anything of this really rich Chinese dude. I think his family's like a billionaire family. But
Mhm.
he was like really chill and like down to earth. But his like biggest gripe whenever he talked about stuff, it was just like, yeah, it's really hard to trust people. And basically every time he introduces himself, he's like, I use my real name, but I have a different backstory like every time because I can't give my real backstory, right? And he's like, it's
Mm.
really, really sucks, especially if you're trying to get in a relationship or just form any kind of relationship, like even friendships, to have an authentic friendship because you can't be honest yourself, He has to like give them a fake story
Mm.
because of who he is. And I'm like, that's really sad. And I feel
Yeah,
for
you
him.
can't even be true to yourself. That must
Yeah.
be hard.
Yeah.
Crazy. I had a friend who worked as a I think a dominatrix, and then
Mm.
she was saying how like a lot of the guys there, it's just they've been in control their entire life. So the big part of the kink is just that they just want to have control handed over to someone else. And then they just want someone
Oh.
else to just like tell them what to do and, just, decide for them. And that's something I've noticed recently
Oh.
as well, because I work with a lot of rich people too. It's
Mm.
like they're always just like, you can decide for me. You can decide. Because then
Mm.
they don't
They're
want to
tired
make
of
any
making
more
decisions.
decisions. Yeah, they're tired of making decisions. And I was like, can you imagine being that much in control of your life that you're just like, for once, I just want to lose control. I just want somebody to tell me what to do.
No, but it's so true. Like now that I think about it, it's because it's like the mental. That reminds me of like the thing where they talk about like in a family, in a marriage, like you have like if you have like usually, but not always, like a man and a woman,
Hmm.
and a lot of times the woman takes on all this mental load, and it's like the guys being like, "Oh, if you need any help, just tell me or ask me." But the thing is,
Yeah.
you'll never the woman will never ask. They'll just do it, right? Because it's just not worth it. So as a guy, you just have to do the work. Otherwise, it puts on all this burden on the woman, and then
Yeah.
you can't like blame them saying, "Well, you didn't tell me." It's like there's just so much going on. That's not being helpful. And then the big thing was like men forgetting about like the mental workload, like the work that you can't
Uh-huh.
see. Like it's not just like doing the dishes or changing the diaper or cleaning the living room, making the bed, doing the laundry. It's not just like the things you can physically see. It's the planning, like planning the groceries, like making the list, thinking of who has to go where when, scheduling. Like
Hmm.
all those things that you don't see are a huge part of the mental workload, and that's a lot of like decision making, right? Like, oh, what are we gonna plan
Yeah.
to eat this week, all that, and that's a huge mental strain too. And that's something
Hmm.
like men can help with too. But that's just like
I
in the
feel
case
like
of like a
that's
marriage
also
between a man
like
and woman.
one of those things that isn't very valued in society either, right? They think
Mm.
of like, the guy like buys the house, the guy brings home the money. That's all. They don't see all of the other details that it's worth underneath it all. And I feel like that's the one of the most annoying like debate that people say about like, oh, housewives and whatever, like, you know, women are just better at these things. So they should
No,
just do it. And I'm
no.
just like, at that point, are you really looking for a partner? Are you really looking for like a wife? Or are you just looking for a mother to take care of all of your
Yeah,
needs?
exactly. And it's not even okay. Yeah, you know what? Women are better at it, but you know why? It's because they have to be better at it because the men don't do
Yeah.
it. So in the end, you got to pick up the slack. You don't have a choice.
Hmm.
And then
And
okay,
that's a lie because
yeah,
I feel like I know many men who can do it. They're capable of. It's just they've never learned
yeah.
how. Like that's just a normal thing.
It's
They've
because
just
their
relied
mother
on all
always
the
did it
women in
for
their
them,
yeah, they just relied
which
on
is the
all of the women in their
cycle.
life. And it's just like, hello, do you not realize? Like,
And a big thing too. Okay, you mentioned like, oh, the guy buys a house. I have to say, like, I would never want a dude just to buy like it be his house. Like, okay, big financial advice. I talk to a lot of my friends now, especially because a lot of people are trying to buy houses.
hmm.
Is like make sure your name is on the house. Like, I hate to say if you get divorced or anything, but you got to plan for stuff that may not happen, but just in case, because that's like
Hmm.
divorce is a pain in the ass, especially if the split assets, and no one hopes for it, but it could happen. And usually when it happens, it's not amicable, to be honest. So you split your assets.
Yeah.
So make sure your name is on the house, because if it's not, you don't have a guarantee to that house at all.
Oh my God. Even things like prenup. I feel like
Yeah.
nowadays everyone's like, oh my God, prenup, why are you making such a big deal? It should be about love. But I'm like, hello? I feel like in the prenup, it's like if any of the spouse cheats, there will be financial
Yeah.
compensation
Yeah.
because it just doesn't make any sense that we're going in this together. And if one of us break the commitment, that we should just be let off.
I mean, that's not even the only reason people divorce. Like, sometimes people just change and you end up growing different directions and it happens. Or, like,
Hmm.
there's a multitude of reasons why you get divorced and there's nothing wrong with it. It happens, but it is messy. Like, unless someone's really willing to just make concessions, it's very messy on the, like, financial side. And that's why prenups are very important. It makes that process simpler. And the last thing you want when you're going through a divorce is to think about all this other stuff on top of all the other stuff you gotta, like, deal with.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's so messy. That's why I was like, nah, I'm good.
And I mean, in the end, okay, I know people are like, I feel like Hollywood especially has like romanticized that marriage is supposed to be about love, and you should marry the person you love, but in the end, like you can be with the person you love without a marriage certificate. Like
Hmm.
there are like I've been looking into it. I'm like, can you just legally give your like partner like the rights like to visitation and all that? And I'm sure it's like it seems like there are ways. It's not straightforward to like give those permissions if you so wish. But the thing about marriage is like in the end, it's just a legal contract to like for like tax breaks.
Yeah, that's all that it is.
Yeah, like
I
some
mean, I
people
even talked about
yeah. Like you could have a fucking marriage ceremony and not put in the paperwork. Like that works too. Like no one's stopping you.
yeah, here we are. What hell? All right. Should we end it here today after our ranting times?
It's like always us ranting, but I mean that was like the point of this podcast. It's just getting our thoughts out. We don't really know what we're
Yeah,
saying. We're just living our lives.
I know. And then just like watching anime and then just having a place to talk about it. I think that's what's the best. So then we can always have like we can bounce ideas off each other
Yeah, and
and
just like
points that I have missed, you know.
yeah, and
I
like
like can
talk
hear it
about
from you.
things that we've been going through and like in each of our lives because we don't see each other that often.
We don't. It's honestly just on here whenever we meet.
The beauty of the internet.
Oh my gosh. And look how close we are. This is as close as we are.
Yo, we're so close. We're so close. Watch this. Watch this. We're so
Oh my
close.
gosh.
So close.
Why are you moving me closer?
You were closer to quick. Okay, okay. You know what? I got you. I got you. I got you.
Oh my gosh.
Smother you. I'm on
Sakura.
top of you now.
Oh my gosh. I'm calling the police. Hello? Hello?
Ring, 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 ring. Okay.
Oh my
Oh, now
gosh.
I'm too tall. Okay, okay.
Why are you so
Anyways,
okay? Well, thanks again for listening to our episode 14. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you had any comments on anything we talked about, please let us know. And we'll see you again next week. Bye.